You're enjoying Racing World. It's brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your global motorsport podcast show brought to you in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.
Well, it's the beginning of June and this is another edition of Racing World, and this time we're coming from the GM World Headquarters in Detroit, Michigan. So it's Racing World for June. As you can tell, we're by this revolving carousel in the GM World Headquarters in the Renaissance building in downtown Detroit. What an amazing building, what an amazing collection of cars all through the era, to the modern sports cars, modern NASCARs, modern Indy cars, all within this building. It's a phenomenal building, and I can tell you one thing, it's very easy to get lost in here, but you know, that's by the by. Didn't see anything top secret, that's for sure. Looking at the Detroit race first of all, man oh man, it is going to be something spectacular. But before that, let's look back at the Indy 500. What a race it was. A lot of red flag periods at the end of the race, but it kind of made the race. The good thing about it was the race finished under a green. Maybe the last red flag was one too many, but at the end of the day we got a winner, and it was Joseph Newgarden. Played that race very smartly. They were the quickest car there at the pre-Indy 500 test way back a month earlier, and he kind of had some big goals for that, but then during that week of practice the Penske guys didn't really have the form that they'd shown at that test. But it did transpire into the race. Scott Dixon very unlucky early on with a tyre issue which created that vibration, which in many ways just took him right out of the race, took him out of the mix, but fought back to get some strong points, and now this is all about championship for Dixon and a 7th title. As for McLaughlin, he was kind of there or thereabouts all day, but that was about as good as it got. It is a tough race to win, tough event. And it was a hot day, not the hottest that I've seen. Phenomenal crowd, second biggest crowd since the sellout that we had back at the 100th running of the Indy 500. So great crowd in, great atmosphere, great spectacle in racing. I can honestly say to you, if you ever get the chance to go to the Indy 500, it should be on your bucket list, because it is one heck of a gig, that's for sure. Well, onwards now to Detroit. So some 5-hour drive from Indianapolis if you're driving that way, just depends how you want to get here. Borders with Canada, the other side of the river from here. Windsor, the leading city on that side, on the Canadian side. Detroit, Michigan on this side. The home of GM, obviously, which is where we are right now. The track has moved from what was the temporary street course at Belle Isle to this downtown street course, which was renowned once upon a time for the Formula One race here. It's only a very small section of it that actually was used during that period. The rest of it is a fresh course, and it was designed by a New Zealander, Tony Cotman. Spoke with Tony earlier today, and he'll be featuring in the documentary Kiwis Born to Fly, which will be screening on Sky Sport New Zealand later this year. And Tony, a big figurehead in designing courses here, designed this one, designed Toronto, designed Nashville, and did many other circuits that the IndyCar series has either been to or may go to in that way. But another proud Kiwi doing a great job for New Zealand. So this is part of his handiwork. Massive gig. Started the build here at the beginning of May, and here we are 4 weeks later. It's a complete circuit, ready to go, and he's delivered once again. The race itself, I think it'll be phenomenal. It could be a little bit Nashville-like, and we'll talk more about that next week. But what we've seen so far, first Indy Next race, unfortunate start for Hunter McElrea. I personally think he got caught up in a bit of traffic there and pushed him down through the field, but a great comeback from Hunter, and he'll start the second race from position number 5. So I think he can do quite well from there, and it's just another long race. It is very, very hot here, 31 degrees Celsius at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the hottest time of the day tends to be around 4 o'clock. So the race will be run, or the IndyCar race itself will be run around that period, so it will be very interesting to see how that plays out in terms of driver fatigue as well. But again, the Indy Next race was good. They have 2 races here, so there's a big number of points on the table. IndyCar, what we've seen so far, 2 very different types of practice sessions. We've seen some teams struggle, some teams hit walls, all those things that you would normally expect. But at the end of the day, the top 6 was very, very impressive. It was impressive because Marcus Armstrong was there, Dixon was there, and McLaughlin was there as well. So there was all the Kiwis represented. Very, very strong showing by Armstrong in the first practice, or the first qualifying session. The best performance I think we've ever seen from Marcus. So some great things there, and I think there is more to come. This guy is settling down into the series now, and we're seeing true talent come through there to mix up with the two other Scots that are there as well. Pole position by Alex Palau yet again, so he's on a bit of a roll. Will that transpire into a race win? Only time will tell. It will be a hard, grueling race. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And speaking of grueling, I spoke with Kyle Kirkwood yesterday at the post-practice press conference and got his take on what he felt it would be like.
Yeah, just to any of the three of you really, because we're not at Ballora now and we're here in amongst the buildings and everything as well. I just wondered, is it a lot hotter in the car? You know, like the ambient temperature here is hot at the moment. How's it going to be throughout the race?
To me, the worst I've ever felt is Nashville with the 90-something% humidity, and yeah, I felt fine.
It wasn't super physical, I don't think, just because the grip level's so low right now. So we're not having we won't have any issues overheating, I don't think. But as the grip lays down, it starts to get more physical. It'll probably get tougher on us, and we'll start to feel the heat.
Very interesting take there from Kyle. But personally, I think it's really hot here. Drivers obviously not that concerned, although did see today during the qualifying day that thought process is changing a little bit, and some of them are talking about how hot it's going to get. But again, great front row, Kiwi on the front row with Scott McLaughlin. Got to talk to him too about how the track is evolving.
I just wanted to know, by comparison to yesterday to today, has the track evolved? Is it actually rubbered up, or is it still very much a sort of concrete surface? Because it looks like there's still quite low grip.
Oh, in places there's low grip, for sure. Potentially where you could pass tomorrow, there's probably low grip, anything sort of off the line right now. But that'll rubber up pretty quick. But it's taken a lot of rubber, even in that qualifying session from practice to qualifying after the Indy lights, right? Indy next race, it already took, a ton of rubber as well. So it's nice though, because the first session I felt like it was pretty green. You probably agree, and it was hard to get a bearing. But now our rubber's going down. It's turning the racetrack into really a lot of fun. It's a great racetrack to lay a lap down. So. It was a blast.
Well, there you have it. It's shaping up to be a great race right outside this building, the GM World Headquarters. Man, oh man, there are some cool cars in here. If I could only find the keys, it would really help, and we'd be hightailing it out of here. But it's a great facility. They've made us feel very welcome here. I can't thank everyone involved enough. Fantastic media facilities here, right by the racetrack. Great to see the Trans Am cars here, very similar to TA2 in New Zealand, so we hope we see that take off, because it's very impressive when you get a field of over 20 of those things. But it will be a great race, and of course to everyone that has helped with the documentary Kiwis Born to Fly that's been shot over the last 5 weeks here in the US. We're looking forward to doing the post-production phase of that, and it will be screening on Sky Sport New Zealand in the later months of this year. And I just can't thank everyone enough. It's been a great team effort, and the team around the project as well. It's just been phenomenal. So we look forward to sharing that with you and talking more about that in future podcasts. But for now, from the GM World Headquarters, going to say see you later. I'm off to check out the cars.